So basically, almost my whole life, I've been called an Oreo, black on the outside, white on the inside. And so my statement is that I'm not a cookie. I've been raised mostly in like white communities because my dad's in the military, so we've lived like on base, and I've been around so many different people, and so it's kind of like how I act is just like normal to me. So then when people say things like that, it's like, what do you mean? I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense, and it's just very confusing. It's been really, really hard. I was bullied a lot for it in high school. Yeah. People were like, oh, she's acting white. Like, why is she doing that? And stuff like that. So I was bullied a lot for it, and it kind of like, I'm also part white. Like my grandma on my mom's side is white, so it like also causes like an identity crisis. It's like, but I am part white, but I'm not. That's not where I'm like getting this from. I don't understand what you mean. So it's very difficult, but you work through it, cut through it. So if people don't have contact with different types of people, they don't understand, and then those stereotypes get like carried on throughout generations and all that type of stuff. So you need to have contact with other types of people to change those things.
So basically I identify as ethnically ambiguous. So I'm 50% Puerto Rican, even though I have like like green eyes, and I'm very light skinned. So this kind of caused an identity crisis for me when I was younger, because my family was darker than I was, my siblings were darker than I was, and none of it really made sense to me. And then somebody asked me if I was adopted, and that's when it like clicked for me. And I legitimately went home and asked my mom, like, am I adopted? Because I didn't understand that you don't necessarily have to look a stereotypical way in order to be ethnically a part of something. And then it kind of came up again in high school when I had a teacher I was close with, and he goes, yeah, when I first read your name off the roster, Jenna Lopez, I thought you were adopted because you're light-skinned. So that was kind of like a big identity crisis, and something that I kind of had to delve into, almost like the same thing of being too light to be Hispanic, but too Hispanic to be white. And I remember like going to college, I would feel bad if I got a Hispanic scholarship because I didn't feel Hispanic enough to accept something like that. So that was kind of the big crisis.
Well, it is pretty straightforward. I didn't really have a clever title like some of the other human books. But yeah, so for most of my formative years, when I've started to mature into a young adult, starting in middle school and then on, I've kind of faced mental illness, and within this year, sexual assault has affected me as well, and that's also kind of contributed to the strain on the mental illnesses that I already procured prior to that. In middle school, I developed anorexia, so I starved myself, and I was obviously, dying, and I didn't notice, and I don't remember all that much, probably for reasons known, but I do remember a lot of kicking and screaming, and a lot of back and forth, and a lot of shutting myself off from others. So I was hospitalized for a little bit, and I know I'm being very bare bones on this right now, but the main reason why I guess my anxiety and depression kind of popped up for me, my anorexia popped up because I felt pressure to look a certain way. I think I've learned for the better from my anorexia, how to balance things better, and I think that's also what helped contribute towards my recovery from my anxiety and depression later in life as well. And the one thing that I latched onto was my academics, and high school was difficult, or it got more difficult for me, and I didn't take that very well. My anxiety swelled up, I got more stressed, and the big problem with my anxiety, depression, and my anorexia was my fear of lack of control. After talking with other sexual assault survivors, a lot of them have told me, I I'm too scared to report this, or I've taken too much time since it's happened and no one's gonna believe me. And that's one of the hardest things with sexual assault survivors, that they're not ready to report what happened. And for my case, I was lucky, or I guess you could say I was brave, but I don't like that word, because I felt like it was just what I was supposed to do. Once I realized it happened, I needed to report it.
So the title of my book is More Often Than Sometimes, and that comes into play a lot of areas in my life. I grew up as a military brat, so we moved around more often than sometimes. I was very close with my mom, and so we spent a lot of time together, and I would watch her poke and prod at herself in the mirror and look at herself like she was less than perfect, and in my eyes she was the most beautiful woman in the world. Like, you could ask me, what does the word gorgeous mean to you? And I'd tell you my mother, but more often than sometimes she would degrade herself. I was hospitalized a series of 12 times. 7 of them were for suicide attempts. As you can see, they were attempts. I did not succeed. And the 5 other times had to do with an eating disorder, which I blame the lack of control that I had. I found it as a way to control myself and to control something that I had. Like, it was very tangible, just for me to be able to watch the numbers drop on the scale. And it went from anorexia nervosa to eating disorder not otherwise specified, which is EDNOS, and that took a turn for the worse when I ended up turning to harder drugs, to hard drugs. I found out that, an easy way to lose weight when the laxatives aren't working is a little bit of coke, and a little bit of coke turned into a little bit of meth, and next thing you know, I'm smoking meth, and that's the only way I'm able to stay focused and do homework, clean my room, be a productive human being.